Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine with another unboxing video, and this time it's a bit of punk. It's the Skids 1978 to 1981 Boy, Man and Soldier, a new 5 CD set from Demon Records. So before I tell you what I think about it and give you a bit more detail, let's have a look inside the package. This is Boy, Man and Soldier, Skids 1978 to 1981. It contains 5 CDs of the band's classic albums called Scared to Dance, Days in Europa, with original mix, Days in Europa remix, The Absolute Game and Joy, plus singles and B-sides from the era. So it's in a slip case, which Demon Records use this, Enzel Records use this a lot. And inside there is a short booklet, and I'll show you that in a second. And the albums are in this fold out, a bit like Crow Live and the Gillan box set. So the album artwork and then the CD can be gained from just picking up from the edge on the outside. So there are 5 discs. The booklet doesn't give any story or overview of the band or the impact they had culturally. It has a couple of black and white shot there of the band in action, and then we have pictures of the singles and the credits, and then we're on to the next one, Days in Europa 1979 mix. I guess they've left boxes here because they say how many singles they were. And then we've got the 1980 remix, and then The Absolute Game and the single covers from that, Joy, and then we finish on the credits for this, and also another black and white picture of the band. So that's the Skids, Boy, Man and Soldier 1978 to 1981. So that's a look inside this package covering the band The Skids, a punk band who I remember really well from the late 70s. Boy, Man and Soldier, this is 1978 to 1981, 5 CDs, as you saw, folding out into this panel aspect that Demon use quite a lot for their packages. Now this is called a deluxe package, and I know that many of you have given me feedback where you don't necessarily like this kind of quite flimsy outer shell instead of a clamshell box or some other way of presenting these. The other thing I'm going to say at this point, because this is my job to give you an overview of what I think of the physical aspect of this package and then talk about the actual sound of the CDs themselves, is the booklet. I felt that this is a missed opportunity. This package very well might be aimed at people who already know a lot about the band, but equally there will be people that knew about the band but didn't know that much about the band. And I think some kind of essay, because the band are still out there, and being able to talk to them and just write a short essay, what it was like at the start, what it was like at the big middle, what it was like at the end, what it's like now, what it's like looking back at these recordings from where they are, or any kind of journalist looking back and saying what it was like at the time. Some kind of context, I think, would have made a huge difference. We've got the pictures of the single covers, fine, and the track listings, but there's a lot of space here that would have been a little bit more interesting to why are there so many different mixes or whatever. Musically, the CDs sound absolutely thunderously brilliant. Okay, where was I? 1979. Oh, it says 78 here, but we're going to arrive in 79 really, I think. It's the best place to probably land. I was really caught up in hard rock and metal at this point, and I just thought anything that was punk was kind of didn't really deserve my attention. There were things around, the Pistols and Simple Minds, of things I was going, but the Skids, the way they danced on top of the pops of one of the first hits, I didn't take it that seriously. When I've listened to these now in 2025, I'll be honest with you, I've loved every single second of it. We started, me and Sue put this on together, and we started with the first album, which is obviously Scared to Dance, Into the Valley. Everyone knows Into the Valley, don't they? And not only did that song sound more exciting and more accessible than it did then, it really amazed me at how well it stands up and how powerful it sounds now. The whole album is a punk tour de force of angst, anger, and excitement. I absolutely cannot. I am at fault that when I was at a teenager thinking, oh, I think I've just been to see Yes. And then getting into like Maiden and, lots of rock. But this, the veil between punk and the new wave of British heavy metal was a veil, really. It was all down to haircuts and jumpers. Because if you change the haircuts and jumpers, I'd have just loved this immediately. There, I'm being honest. Sorry for banging the table about. But the 1978 bonus tracks and everything, all absolutely brilliant. And what's interesting is typical of this, probably again because if it was a rock band, they'd be defining things and probably making the same album again, tweaking it, but not deviating too far from the template that they're setting up. But because this is punk new wave, in a way, it was more progressive and forward-thinking than some of the other genres that were sitting around this. And what I'm trying to get at is the first album is the punk album in many ways, Scared to Dance, loads of bonus tracks. Each one of these CDs is between 60 and 70 plus minutes long. So they're packed with music. Days of Europa is 79 mix, and this mix is by Bill Nelson. Now, Bill Nelson, of course, was fighting against being seen as a guitar hero. As Bebop Deluxe, he wanted to take it away from all of us people wanting him to do more guitar solos, and he was moving towards Red Noise. He didn't want to be a guitar hero. So I can imagine him thinking, yeah, I can mix an album by the Skids. And his mix has a kind of more punky, raw aspect to it. And Stuart Adamson is also in this band who went on to be in Big Country. There's a lot of history here, which would have been really good to have in some form of essay in the booklet. Okay, well, I know you can go to Wikipedia, but when I do music, I'm just got this on my lap. That's all I've got. Okay. So Bill Nelson is behind the first Days of Europa album. Now, again, it would have been good to have this as context in the book, but the whole album was remixed and all the tracks were kind of moved around, sequenced differently after Bill Nelson had done his version, and it was remixed in 1980 by Bruce Fairbairn. Now, Bruce Fairbairn, of course, is more known for his traditional, highly polished AOR rock stuff, and as you'd expect, the music morphs into that, more towards that style. So you can see why it happened, because obviously the record label thought, if we tweak this, Bill's done a good job, but if Bruce comes in, we could get this music could cross over to some of the other genres, and we'll get a bigger audience and we'll sell more units. It doesn't take away from anything in the music at all, and this isn't about having which is the best mix. The sequencing's different, the bonus tracks are different, and the sound is different, and it's just, I enjoy both of them. And the next one is called The Absolute Game. Now, when this was originally released, this came with it was originally a double album, and it came with a second album called Strength Through Joy. And this has been included on the next CD. So again, if you don't know the history of the band, you'll think, what is this, The Absolute Game, and also the Strength Through Joy? What is that? There were two records originally released, and they put them both on one CD. This is produced by Mick Glossop. Again, someone else is probably just as well known for producing rock music, rock bands, and it's fantastic. And what I was saying a few moments ago is the Skids, out of the constraints of being expected to do the same thing each time, because punk was turning into new wave, whereas, rock and metal was just like rock and metal. But I think the new wave and the way bands evolved here was actually quite progressive. And so as you listen to these 5 CDs, the band evolves and the sound changes. You could say it becomes more mellow, or you could say it becomes more adventurous, or it becomes more commercial. But it doesn't lose any of its enjoyability at all. And in the last one, Joy, CD 5, produced by Russell Webb, again morphs into a different sound. So they've come quite away from the first full-on punk album, but they haven't lost any of their personality. The last album is very rhythmic, very, very drum-orientated. The production's very different. The songs are very different. But it works really well. So musically, this is a fantastic way of getting all the albums by the Skids in one package, without a doubt. I would have preferred a better... Well, there's nothing wrong with the size of the booklet. It just could have had a bit more text in it. So I'm not saying it should have been 4 times the size or anything. It's fine. It's got the image-wise, it's fine. It just a little bit of background towards the band, or even the band saying something about it. The package itself, I don't have any issue with the way the CDs are packed. I know some people, I don't. I just feel that this could have been a kind of bit firm or stronger. I could just see it getting a little bit biffed, really. That is my criticism. But musically, if you like the Skids or you want to explore this era of music, this is a great way of getting all these albums together. And the amount of bonus tracks is superb. As I say, each CD, 5 CDs, all around 50, 60, 70 minutes long. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Remember, music is the healer and the doctor. Visit the website at nowspinning.co.uk. Subscribe, ring that little bell if you want to become part of our community, which is growing all the time, and you get access to our WhatsApp groups. There are loads of them, our Facebook group, and our own pub with the Now Spinning Arms to become a patron or YouTube member. Remember, music is the healer and the doctor. Keep spinning those discs, and I'll talk to you all very, very soon.